Hi friends and welcome into the channel. I want to do a quick video, a quick tips and tricks video on properly crimping with your monofilament. All of you are getting your sun catchers. I'm seeing things are getting delivered and I'm going to do the design inspiration. And if you have not been poking around my craft making playlist from last year, or if you just need a couple of quick tips and tricks working with monofilament because you've never worked with it before, I wanted to show you the proper way to crimp on the monofilament because there actually is a proper way to crimp. A little bit different from my jewelry making, but similar concept. So friends, I'm going to demonstrate using 3 tools, or we have 2 types of tools, either some pliers or a crimping tool, and also 2 types of prisms, and on 2 types of crimps. So I have a top drill prism, and then I have a prism that has a center drill hole. Okay? Then I have a pair of flat nose, chain nose, either one, it doesn't matter. Okay? Any pair of jewelry pliers. And then I have my standard crimping tool. And then I have a number 1 crimp bead and a number 1 crimp tube. Either or, a number 1 will work on mono, any that you have in your stash. And also, it just depends on the kits. When I'm putting out the kits with crimps, I'll always put a number 1 crimp in. Sometimes it's just a tube, sometimes it's a bead. It's either or, it's going to be the same technique. It's whichever one I include, the way I'm going to show you. So let me pull you down, and we're going to get started on the teardrop. So the first rule, guys, is monofilament is slippery, and we never crimp it twice. Rule number 2 is that we never, how do you want to say it, guys? We don't use the jewelry crimping method where we're turning it to the side like a taco, right? So, we crimp and then we crimp, we'll go first position, crimp, turn, second position, fold like a taco. That we don't do, because what will happen if you crimp them twice is your crimps will crack or slide right off the mono. It's similar to Coriana beading chain. It has to grip. The crimp has to grip. And that's basically the hard and fast science. I know, it's so complicated. So I've got the top drill. I simply fed my mono through the top of my top drill. Teardrop. Okay? And then I fed a crimp. This is the number 1 crimp bead down both tails. And similarly, we do not want to cross, just like in the jewelry making. Absolutely, that part's true. So you don't want to cross them, and we just want to crimp it once. So the first way I'm going to show you is I've got my mono on there, uncrossed. There's my crimp bead, and I'll just slide that pair of pliers over that crimp, pull it into place. I usually try to get it a little close to the crimp, prism. And then I'm just going to go one nice squeeze. You see that? Can you guys see? That's all it needed was one squeeze. One squeeze. And there we go. My wires are not crossed. And, oh, well, it did not go. Okay. Well, let me do it again. Sorry, guys. Thought I squeezed it. Apparently, I did not. The camera angle. Ha ha ha! Oh, my heavens. Because it's further away from me than the camera is. Right on top of where I'm working. Okay, we'll give it one squeeze, though, guys. That's what we will do. There we go. Okay, so we just want to squeeze it once. Okay, now I'm going to show you the same thing on this prism with the crimping tool. So I would just feed my mono. And by the way, guys, for added security, if you want to go through twice, you can do that too. just go back around a second time. Just make a loop within your prism there and pull your tails up. And then we'll feed a crimp. Let's use a crimp tube down both my wires. And by the way, guys, you can crimp on 1, 2, 3, and even 4 pieces of the mono. FYI. So long as the pieces will go through, you can put multiple runs through the crimps. Just so you know. Okay, so there we go. My wires are not crossed. It's so slippery. See if I can hold it this way. No, I have to hold it that way to keep them uncrossed. And same thing, guys. They're uncrossed. And I would just go in the bottom divot of my crimping tool. The bottom divot only, and only once. I'm only about to do this once. Just like that. One time. Okay, you see? There's a wire or a piece of mono on each side of the crease of my crimp. And I only crimped it once. I will not do it again. I will not fold it over. I will do nothing. It's done. That's crimped. Okay, so that is how you start out your prisms. Let me grab another piece of mono and show you. It's really the exact same thing, but I'm going to do it really quick on the center drill. So here's what I do with my center drill prisms, friends. And again, if you want to use a crimping tool or a pair of pliers, it does not matter. You want to use the number 1 crimp bead, number 1 crimp tube, it does not matter. It's just the technique. So I just fed it through my bead. Now what I would do, guys, is I would go around the side if you picked up these prisms or have any of these of your own. And I'm going to take one tail and go back around. So I've got a tail going through the top and a tail going through the bottom. Okay, so there's a tail and there's a tail. And I would just pull. Okay, and now you'll see, I'll pull you down, that you've got your monofilament going up the side of one of your the prism there, right? And so that's how I start it that way. Now I'm going to take and pull one tail up, and I'm going to push it through the side of that monofilament on the side of that prism. And believe it or not, it's ending up twisting it, and it'll end up landing on the inside portion of the drill, but it just ends up twisting it on the inside. So I just put it through the side of the monofilament, pull it through a couple times, and that just, again, gives extra security. These are not heavy. And then just pull that, and now I'm just going to go ahead and pull that up the side and put both of my monos together to get a crimp down. And so let's go ahead and I'll do it twice again. We'll do it with the crimp tube and then we'll do it with the crimp bead. But I'll do the opposite tool that we just did. So there's both pieces of my mono. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull that crimp all the way down and make sure my pieces of monofilament are not crossed. Okay, there you go. And then with these, you just kind of got to hold it almost like in a very bizarre, weird position so that you can try to get that crimp centered. Okay, so now on the crimp tube, I will use the chain nose. And we'll slide it down, and I'll just try to get it as centered as I can, close to the prism as I can. And just, I just gave it one squeeze there, guys. See? And there you go. And you can do your tug test. It's not going anywhere. And my wires are not crossed. So what we don't do is we do not turn it to the side and do it again, because that obviously cracks it, makes it slide off the mono. Let me go ahead and cut that off. And let's do it one more last time for good measure. And we'll use the crimp bead, and then we'll use the crimp tool. So again, center drill, I'll put it through, and then take one side and feed it back down. So I've got tails going in opposite directions here. These are how you start these guys out. This is how you start these guys out if I have a long enough piece of mono. And then now you've got a piece going up the side. I'm holding the tail there. And now I'm just gonna take this bottom tail and just go through the side of that mono and pull it a couple times like that. And again, believe it or not, it twists it in the center drill there. It'll land in the center drill, and it just gives it a little added security. Okay, so I've done that a couple times. Now I will pull both my tails up here. And so I've got my mono. And by the way, you guys, you know, the mono, it's clear. It doesn't matter. You can't see it. But when it gets wet, this monofilament, I meant to mention to you guys, it actually glows in the dark. How cool is that? I think it glows blue. Sometimes when it's raining, I'll set mine out to catch the rain. And then in the nighttime, it glows. It's so cute. Okay, so there's a crimp bead I fed down. And now, same thing. I'll just push that down, making sure that I'm not crossed. And I'll go in one time with the bottom divot of my crimping tool. So I'll get that bead right there in the bottom of my crimper. And see if I can get that centered. And give it one nice squeeze. Right in the bottom divot there. Oh, you didn't like that? Okay. Well, let's do it again. Put you there in the bottom divot of the crimp. And one good squeeze. And there we go. One good squeeze. I am not going to go and turn it and squeeze it again. In fact, I'm not even gonna do anything. I'm just gonna do it once like that and leave well enough alone. Okay, friends, I hope you enjoyed that quick tips and tricks. If you got order my sun catcher kits throughout the spring months here, and order any of the prisms, now you know how to properly crimp throughout, by the way, not just on prisms, but throughout all of your designs with your rondelles. And this goes right over into jewelry making, doesn't it? Because I use mono in my jewelry making too. So that is how you use the monofilament to crimp properly, friends. Until the next one, be blessed.